So thank you again for joining us today. Um, Today we're going to have Crystal, is it Yarnes? Yarnes?
Yarns.
Yarns, okay. Crystal Yarns from North Rose-Wolcott Middle School. It's lovely to have a middle school presenting. It's a tough area. You will be presenting on TFI 2.3, utilizing the Cougar Care Room data for MTSS screening. So we'll do recording of the presentation by Crystal. We'll stop the recording and do about 15 minutes or so of Q&A. Okay, so Crystal, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be sharing how we utilize our Cougar Care Room data as part of our MTSS screening process. This work is grounded in TFI 2.3 and focuses on using multiple data sources to better identify and support our students. So I'll be able to walk you through this system and process and the impact that it's had on our school. Our middle school at North Rose-Wolcott, we are a grade 5 through 8 school with about 300 students. It's located in a rural Wayne County area. It's a very tight-knit community, predominantly white student population with a growing Hispanic population as well. About 60% or greater of our students are eligible for free lunches. And we implemented the Cougar Care Room in September of 2022. This is also when I was hired here at the middle school. And so when I came aboard, I felt that this Cougar Care Room would be a great impact for our school and district. It was something that I had implemented in my previous district. And I did this because in 2021-2022 school year, the school year that I was not here, after reviewing the data and kind of doing a needs assessment, I saw that the school had 1,865 office discipline referrals. So with seeing this data and knowing what the Cougar Care Room could do, I really felt this would be beneficial for North Rose-Wolcott Middle School. So as many of you know, the TFI 2.3 screening, here is the rubric for this screening. Basically, looking at a 4, the decision rules are established with the team using all of the following. The biggest piece with this is the multiple data sources. So multiple informant options, looking at just not one specific data source. So today we are going to be focusing on the Cougar Care Room and the data that brings with it. But please know within this screening process, it is important to look at multiple data sources such as attendance, referrals, time out of instruction, meeting minutes, academic, all of those data sources. And we do that as well at our MTSS teams. All right. So what is the Cougar Care Room? We call it CCR, this is a place for students to reflect, recover, repair, and to return to class. The Cougar Care Room is a restorative space. It is not a punitive one. It's a place where students can go to cool down, to de-escalate, take a break, have access to further resources, and participate in restorative conversations. It's a place where students can go to speak to an adult in a time of need, have time to reflect, or express a need for a conversation with another adult in the building. So really, CCR is a place to triage students. For anyone who's worked in a middle school, you know that students, when they have a need, they want it taken care of. So it's very urgent to them, and they want their voice to be heard. Knowing that and knowing what it was like to work in a middle school that didn't have CCR, that didn't have some type of space for this, you will see that the main office usually becomes that space. So generally the main office is filled with students and students in crisis, students who need different people or things. And really you want the main office to be a space where you can have visitors and community members and people coming and going and not be seeing these different students in crisis or students in need. So we had this space CCR where students can go and to speak their voice and to get whatever they need taken care of so that they can go back into the classroom. So how can students go to CCR? How can they access CCR? So students can access CCR in 3 ways: self-initiation when they need support, teacher-directed removal for behavior concerns, or by an escort when a student is unable or unwilling to leave. So a student can initiate a self-removal by getting a CCR pass from their teacher if they have an urgent need to speak to an adult or need a safe place to go. A teacher can also remove a student by giving them a CCR pass due to oppositional or disruptive behaviors, peer-to-peer misconduct, or a student not being able to function in class. So many times, in classrooms, you'll see a teacher remove a student through a referral process. This is kind of like that, but again, instead of going straight to the assistant principal or straight to the principal, straight to the main office, they go to CCR so we can figure out what is actually going on. A teacher can also remove a student by calling CCR and requesting an escort to come to get the student because the student was refusing to leave or did not take the pass. And this might be by a hall monitor if a building has one, or by an administrator. What happens when a student goes to CCR? A student enters the room and signs in directly with the CCR aide. The CCR aide collects the student information and enters it in the spreadsheet for data tracking purposes, which is important under that TFI 2.3 for screening. The student immediately sits down and completes a reflection sheet or waits in their seat until they are ready to discuss what is going on. And then the CCR aide triages the student and attends to their needs. Now, we have had our CCR aide. Our aide has been with us since 2022. She's actually on, I believe, her name is Stephanie Kerr, and she'll be here to answer some questions that anyone may have. But she's had quite a bit of training. However, when she first got into this position, it was really trial and error. It was a work in progress. I knew what I wanted the vision of this space to be, and she was really open-minded, and she was really kind of willing to learn and to be trained in any of these areas so that she could best support our students. So what follow-up will occur? So what actually happens when students get to CCR? So they get to CCR, they're triaged. The student will receive a follow-up pass if they've returned back to class. The pass will state what the resolution was and if further action steps are needed. If the student does not come back to class, the teacher will receive a follow-up email with the resolution or further action steps. And this can be from the CCR aide, an administrator, or the triage staff members. So triage staff members can include counselors, psychologists, social workers, maybe an instructional coach, maybe a community partner that's in the building. So any of those members. A parent will also receive an email notifying them that their child was seen in CCR. So they could be seen in CCR for a quick break that resulted in 5 to 7 minutes to de-escalate them, to give them that time and get back to class. They could receive an email, a parent could receive an email letting them know that their child was seen in CCR for a mediation, to drop off a statement, whatever that may be. The communication is really scripted and really just lets the parent know that their child was seen in CCR. And if they have further questions, to please reach out to an administrator. We do also ask that teachers follow up with parents to let them know why their child was sent to CCR if it was for a behavioral concern. So with CCR and the passes that I spoke of, there is a green pass and there is an orange pass. So we use a clear system to categorize responses. So with a green pass, this means that more support is needed, but the situation is not currently at a severe level. So the student will go, they will have a green pass, it will identify why that student might be there. They might be there because they were being defiant. They may be there because they needed a break. Whatever it is, that will be identified on the pass. This will be documented with a classroom referral in our school tool system, and the student will return generally in 5 to 7 minutes. This pass does not immediately warrant administration. And then there's the orange pass. The orange pass indicates the issue needs to be addressed by administration. Classroom referral is still used for documentation, and the administrator notifies teacher if an office discipline referral is warranted. So I will be honest, we do dictate that process to say if an office discipline referral is warranted in this situation. And really what that does, it helps ensure consistency and clarity across all staff members. It also supports our data tracking and decision making as well. So this restorative framework it's really the process of reflecting, recovering, repairing, and returning the student back to class. It's a restorative way that we use within our building to increase accountability and school community safety. School culture change has been addressed, and our relationships have really been strengthened within our building. CCR has reduced bullying and disparities between students, and it has reduced negative interactions with our school resource officers, teachers, and staff. So it has shifted discipline from punishment to growth. So with this behavioral data, we utilize CCR in our referral data at MTSS. So we use it for teacher reflective meetings. Really, we use this data to be able to identify and see when teachers are sending students out, why they may send students out. And we use this data at our MTSS meetings to be able to identify teachers who might be struggling in these areas. From that point forward, our assistant principal will meet with those teachers throughout the month to go through the data, to analyze the data, to reflect on the data, and to be able to see, okay, what's going on? What's going on? Why are we having an uptick with students being sent out? We might see that maybe it's just 1 or 2 students. Maybe we'll see that it's a specific period that this is happening with. We also use this data for intervention plans for students, whether it be tier 2 or tier 3. This we use to be able to say, okay, do we have students that are consistently being sent out of class or consistently taking breaks? And if so, what intervention plans can we put in place for these students? This data also helps us to be accountable, whether it be for us as administrators, for our teachers, and for students. It's really important for us to be able to sit down at MTSS with the data already analyzed. Our assistant principal brings this data monthly, and so we're able to see, okay, what's happening, what's trending, what's happening school-wide, what's happening per grade level, what's happening per teacher, per student, and so on. Communication and follow-through is the foundation of this work. So with CCR, like I noted, parents are communicated, teachers are communicated. Teachers want to know what's happening. When teachers send students out, when they write referrals, really that's their way to say, okay, I need more help and I want to know what is happening with the follow through with these students. So an email is communicated to teachers every single time a student is sent to CCR, and whether it's through administration or our CCR aide, letting them know next steps that they need to take or next steps that have already been taken. This is a highly restorative approach. We really believe here at the middle school that we want to look past the consequence. We want students to look deeper and be more reflective on their behavior. We want to be able to, for students to not just receive ISS or OSS, but actually be reflective in the work and in their behavior so that this does not keep happening. We also use progressive discipline. So this data is really important for us because it shows us what has already been happening with students. You know, maybe they have went on. We have a classroom of different restorative supports where students will watch a video, maybe fill out a reflective activity. Maybe they will do that during a lunch detention. So there's the work that's happening behind the consequence. And then we increase that discipline as it continues to happen. We're able to see, okay, is this working or is not? So I wanted to show kind of the data for our building. This is based on our office discipline referrals. So as you can see in 21-22, we had 1,856 referrals. And then in 22-23, this is when we first implemented CCR. We ended the year with 588 referrals, 23-24, 359, 24-25, 257. And right now, currently at the end of March, we ended with 120 referrals. So we are on target for under 200 referrals for the year. So as you can see, this has been highly impactful. We've been able to develop more consistency with our referrals. We've been able to provide more supports for our teachers and students. And I wholeheartedly believe that's because of our CCR system. So when thinking about the TFI 2.3, making sure that you have a universal screening that's occurring 3 times a year, making sure that you are using multiple data sources. We use CCR as our behavioral data within our ODRs, but also looking at our attendance data, our academic data. We review this data 2 times a month at our MTSS meetings. We also use our grade level team meetings for our assistant principals to go in and review our ODRs and our CCR data with the grade level team so that they can take a deeper dive and they can be able to see where their grade level stands with the amount of students going into CCR and what those reasons are for. Also having consistent tier 1 practices. CCR, the system, is huge, within our tier 1 practices. We have done a lot of work with making sure that we have those consistencies with how teachers are working with students and what they're putting in place at that tier 1 level. And then identifying students at the tier 2 and tier 3 level through this data. So a lot of times, we're using this data to be able to identify our tier 2 and tier 3 students. Very seldom do we identify students through our RFA process, and that's because our data coming analyzed and ready to go helps us to be able to do that. Like I said, we have our reflective data meetings with our identified teachers each month as well, and that happens throughout the year. So as whatever building you may work at, elementary, middle, or high, I just put this together, if whether you're getting started in this area or you're getting better in this area, really using this quick self-check to ask your team these questions. So if you're getting started, do you have a consistent process for reviewing behavior data regularly? Are you using behavior data alongside other data sources to guide decisions? Do you have a clear, agreed upon criteria for identifying students who need support? And are staff consistently documenting referrals and following established procedures? So really, if you're just getting started, using this quick self-check list to be able to help you to ask yourself these questions and guide your decisions. If you might have something like this and you want it to be a little bit better, using these questions to help you get there. So do you screen all students regularly, not just the ones who stand out? Are you using more than one data point to make decisions? Do you have clear, agreed upon criteria across teams? And are you identifying students early and adjusting supports as needed? So I think this might be able to help you and your team to be able to decide where you're at in this process and have some next steps. And now for any questions, I did just want to say in the drive, I have added some resources. So I do have what a green pass looks like, what an orange pass looks like. I have information about CCR. I have a reflective document that students use as well in the drive for people to have access to in case they're interested. And Stephanie is also here to answer any questions people might have.